Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. This is Kemi, and I'm here to talk about the Traitors Season 4, Episodes 4 and 5. All right, so we start off with it being the next morning, and of course, they did the night before, they did the sending home face to face. So they get up the next morning, everybody comes to do the breakfast, and then they find out who was sent home, and it was Caroline. So it was funny when Lisa and Caroline saw each other because Caroline was just like, "You bitch." And then Caroline was just like, she was just like, "I'll see you somewhere." Bravo Con. And Lisa was just like, "No, you won't." I was just like, oh my goodness. That was a mess. So so again, they find out who gets sent home. So prior to them finding out who gets sent home, all of the ones that were tied to the tree, they Monet suggests that, because Monet and them were the first ones to come in, they suggest that they ask each person what happened at the banishment, so that they can get their story, see what each person's story is, to to see who could be the traitor or whatever. So Ron comes in, he tells his story. Lisa comes in, she tells her story. She tells the absolute most. I think Eric comes in next. He tells his story. And then Kristen comes in and she tells her story. So that's when they find out that it was Caroline that was sent home. So they all had about the same story, except for a couple of things that were different. One thing that people noticed was the fact that Ron didn't say anything about an axe that the guy did or whatever. Ron, in his confessional, he's talking about how he heard light steps, so he thinks it's Mora. Eric's talking about he heard a laugh, but he doesn't want to say who it is just yet. Let's see, the next mission is they have to find spears in the wood, and then when they find the spear, they have to go to the beast and set it on fire. When they set the beast on fire, they have to yell a name, and whoever the name is who they're going to put on the short list or whatever. So let's see, they for each person that they do, they kill each person that each beast that they slay, they get 2K. So a total of up to 10K. So they picked Ron, Tiffany, Monet, Michael, Tara, Steven, Lisa, Mora, Johnny, and Jam Jam. So Colton thinks, I wrote in my note, Colton thinks he's running things and he needs to go. Like, I really don't like Colton. And when we get into episode 5, yeah, we're going to talk about it. So they get back to the castle and they discuss who they think is a traitor. Colton is making his rounds, trying to tell everybody, he thinks it's Tiffany, because Tiffany was being real strategic. And she was just like, I want to go for Ron, then Michael, then Jam Jam. Like, that's what she was saying, because those are the people that she thinks are the traitors or whatever. He's telling this to Candace, and Candace was just like, wait, what? Like, where did that come from? And a lot of people were just like, wait, where did that come from? That doesn't make sense. We've been on this wrong thing. And he's just like, no, it's her, because she's so strategic and she's playing it like she's the leader and all this other stuff or whatever. So they Candace is just like, this is the same thing that happened with Portia. She doesn't think that Tiffany is the traitor, and she just wants to get Ron out. Like, she doesn't want to waste a murder on him. But she wants to get him out. So that's like her thought process or whatever. So we get to the round table, and when I tell you this round table was a key, when I tell you Tiffany was eating them up, she was eating up Colton like he was the best meal. Because, like, girl, the way she told into him, he was just like, I think it's you because you said this and that. She said, because I'm smarter than you. I was just like, I know that's right. Because you have so much conviction to be absolutely wrong. So he was just like, yeah, because you were saying this and you were saying that. And she was just like, because I think ahead, you think that I'm the traitor. Again, I'm smarter than you. And she was just like, if you want to put my name down, put my name down. And he was just like, well, since you're how do you spell that? Do you spell that with two F's? Because, since you're smarter than me. And she was just like, Tiffany, like the company. I said, yes, ma'am. You better tell them. Because just like that blue shirt that you had on, that's who I am. Best believe. Tiffany Blue. Yes, you know how to spell it. So she goes back and forth with Jam Jam because Jam Jam also thinks that she's a traitor, and Jam Jam is one of those people like if you mention his name, he gonna mention your name, and it's just like, sir, okay. So then we get to Eric, and Eric is just like, I'm a musician, and I have like, I listen to music for, I listen to music. That's my career. And while I was on that tree, I was pleading my case, and I heard a laugh, and that laugh was you. And then they go to commercial break, and then it comes back, and he says the laugh was Tiffany. Sir, Tiffany said, "You gonna need a new career." I said, "What?" Tiffany was eating them up. So Candace, she gives her plea. She takes up for Tiffany, and she's just like, she doesn't think it's her. She thinks it's Ron. They do the vote. They end up voting out Tiffany, and she's a faithful. So they're all sad about it because they was just like, dang, that's dang, we got rid of a faithful because she was crying because she was just like, I need this money to send my kid to school and all this other stuff. And it was like a sad thing or whatever. So after that, they it's time for bed. The traders come and they have to send somebody home. So they're talking about who they're going to send home. And then Candace tells Lisa that Monet said her name, and he thinks that she's probably a traitor because he don't trust her. So the episode ends with them picking who they're going to send home, but we don't find out. So we go into the next episode, and they wake up, and then we find out who gets sent home, and it's Monet. And so we find out that the reason why they sent him home was because he said that he thought Lisa, he didn't trust her or whatever. So that's the only reason why he got sent home, because they were on to him, because he was on to her. So I felt okay. So I felt bad for Ron when and during the breakfast, because when everyone was coming in, like all the people that were up for banishment, they were clapping for them, and then when Ron came in, they were just like silent, and it was just like I felt bad for him because he's being shunned for his wrong assumptions about Portia on the first banishment that they did. And it was just like, although he was wrong, all the evidence that he provided, I would have thought that she was a traitor too, had we not known who the traitors were. Because again, yes, Portia, you misspeak, but in a game like this, you can't misspeak. Like, you should not be misspeaking about stuff like that. So again, I understood why he thought all of that. So it's just like, again, I understand it. And then the fact that you were besties with Donna and then she ended up being a traitor. Yeah, I see why they think he's a traitor. But if y'all think he's a traitor, vote for him. Vote him out. Y'all could have easily voted him out the night before, but y'all were gung-ho on listening to Colton and Eric, and they were wrong for their assumptions, but y'all aren't treating them the way that y'all are treating Ron. And I don't like that, because it's like, yes, Ron was wrong in his assumption. Again, y'all don't, I mean, he was wrong in his assumptions. So yes, okay, whatever. Colton was wrong in his assumptions. And then on top of that, the evidence that he brought to the table wasn't really evidence. It was just your this is how a traitor would do it. And if in my head, if again I didn't know who the traitors were, I would have thought that Colton was a traitor because you just threw that out there and then you said what you said. You sound like a traitor. Like that is something that a traitor would do, would be like, this is who it is, blah, 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 blah. This is what it would, you know, what it would be. So yes, I would, you know, they should be shunning him. They should also be shunning Eric because again, Mr. Music Ears, you didn't even, you were wrong. So whose laugh did you hear? But again, no one is shunning him, but they're all shunning Ron. And it's just like, I don't like it because again, it ain't right. If you're going to shun one, you need to shun all, honestly, because Ron and Eric just sent home a faithful. Yeah, no, Eric and Colton just sent home a faithful too, and they was wrong about their assumptions. So please do that. So we have the next mission, and basically they have to get these statues that's all around the grounds and put it back by the fountain and turn the fountain on. The way that they can find the statues is by there's some gold coins that are in the fountain that they have to search for. So they're searching for the gold coins, and they use that. I mean, they'll put that in the hole to unlock the statue and then bring it back to the fountain and put it in place and then turn on the water. Now, the caveat to that is at each statue, there are some shields, and with the shield, it saves you from murder. Now, at each statue, there could be 4 shields or there could be 1 shield. If anybody picks a shield, then that person, whoever gets the shield, is safe, but they then there's a murder. But if no one gets a shield, then there won't be a murder that night. So they all decide to, like, you know, no, not to pick it, not to pick it because they're just like the only person who would pick it would be a traitor because they would want to do banish, they would want to do a murder. So they all decide not to pick a shield. And Colton in his confessional is just like, I would want to take a shield because now I'm on everybody's radar because of what happened with Tiffany. So like I low-key want to pick a shield. But again, if you pick a shield, you will be safe, but everybody else will be up for murder. So if you do that, then it's going to be like, if you're not a traitor, they're going to think that you are a traitor because you picked this and you're selfish. And then if we find out that, and then also they're going to put looking to home because you put everybody in jeopardy. So they all, you know, they get in their groups of 4 to look for the statues. They Each statue they pick, they see 1 shield. No one's picked up the statue. At the last 2 statues, there are 4 shields. The last 2 groups to find it was Candace, Colton, Lisa, and Mark. And when they get to it, Colton is telling Mark, like, I think we should discuss if we should get one or not, get them or not. So they get to the statue, they see the 4 shields, and then he's just like, so let's discuss. Should we take it because da 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 da. So they discuss it. And then the last group to find the last statue was Dorinda, Michael, Johnny, and Natalie. So they get the last statue, and again, it has 4 statues. So they discuss it, and then they bring back the statue. We don't know if anyone took a shield. They bring back the statue, and they put it on the, you know, they put them in place, and then they get the fountain to turn on. So with that, they added 16K to the prize. So they get back to the house, and again everybody is discussing, like, you know, who they think is the traitor and all this other stuff. And Ron comes to Steven and Dorinda because they're talking about it, and he tells Dorinda, hey, I think you and Michael are the traitors, and I'm gonna stand on that. And it was just like, sir, you are wrong again. But again, that's the name of the game. So Colton is talking about how he thinks Michael is the traitor. So he's rallying the troops again. So they're in the kitchen and they're eating. And so he asked, they were talking about the clothes, like the clothes that Alan wears. And so Colton asked Michael, does um, does Alan change his costume when he comes to the turret? And Michael was just like, what? I wouldn't know, I'm a traitor. So Natalie is just like, bro, you don't get flustered. So why are you flustered? And Michael was just like, that's the reason why I couldn't be a traitor, because I don't like, I can't lie like that, or whatever he said, or whatever. So they're going back and forth, they're arguing or whatever. And so now it's time to go to the round table. Now, before we get to the round table, at breakfast that morning, um, Colton was telling, no, Natalie had brought up how Colton was on The Bachelor. And Dorinda was just like, wait, you were on The Bachelor? And he was just like, yeah. She was just like, as a gay man. And he was just like, well, I thought I was heterosexual. And she was just like, oh man, I wish I would have met you back then, because we would have had, I would have been in your DMs basically. And he was just like, well, you dodged a bullet. And yes, she did, because I've read up on this man, and yeah, I don't know why he's on the show, because you had a restraining order against you for stalking the woman that you didn't propose to, but you gave the final rose to on The Bachelor. And then you came out of the closet and everything was swept under the rug. But whatever. So yeah, so he said that I thought I was a heterosexual man. We get to the round table. Candace asked, so what was all that yelling about? So Michael and Colton are going back and forth. They're going back and forth, going back and forth or whatever. Um, Michael is saying Colton is a commiserating, conniving, all this other stuff. And then Rob is just like, commiserating means this. Like, I'm tired of that. Like, you're using the wrong word. They were just like, sir, calm down. But so they're going back and forth. And then Michael says, you would be the best person to keep a secret. And Colton says, and there it is. And then now it's turned into they think Michael's homophobic. Now, don't get me wrong. Michael is annoying as he double hockey sticks. Every time I see him, all I can think of is higher learning. If you know, you know. And I think I think it was higher learning. If you know, you know. That every time I see him, that's all I can see, because he played that character a little too well. But we're going to move on. But, anyways, so when he said what he said, I'm not going to hold you. The first time I watched it, I didn't take it the way that Colton took it. The second time I watched it, I still didn't take it the way that Colton took it. I honestly do not believe that he meant it the way that he meant that they took it. And granted, however anyone takes it is how they take it. So majority of the people there took it the way that Colton took it. I've seen online that a lot of people didn't take it that way, and then a lot of people did take it that way. So again, it's all for everybody's interpretation. Now, with that being said, Colton then turns around and says, do you think it was fun for me to be stuck in the closet and not being my true self? But you said at breakfast that you thought you were a heterosexual man. So if you knew, even if you were, no, not even if, if you knew that you were a gay man that was in the closet, why would you then go on to a national TV show, not once, not twice, but 3 times to look for a woman. You are on The Bachelor as one of the contestants. You were on, I think it was Bachelor Paradise, and then you became the Bachelor and you were picking the contestants. So if you knew that you were in the closet, why would you even subject yourself and all these women to that? Like, that doesn't seem right to me. And I don't know. I can't tell you. I couldn't sit here and tell you how that would feel to be in the closet. Again, I don't know, but just from my thinking, if you're in the closet, yes, you may not want everybody to know what you're doing, but you also wouldn't put a spotlight on yourself, meaning you would go on a national TV show looking for somebody. You may date women here and there, but you wouldn't go on a national TV show and date 30 women at a time. But again, child. So then, yeah, so Michael he done put his foot in his mouth and he got ate up at the round table. They're telling him how if he's if he's good, if he's a faithful, then he's a bad faithful. If he's a traitor, then he's a good traitor, because the way he's playing the game is just not what's up, because he brings too much attention to himself, he talks too much, and all this other stuff. So Eric says something, and then he was just like, says the man with the music ears. And I was just like, I couldn't lie, I had to chuckle, because yeah, Eric, yeah. So then Morris says something about like, just stop talking. And so he said, well, you stop talking. And so she feels some type of way. And I was just like, how are you feeling some type of way when you told him to stop talking? What you thought? You thought you was above rapport? Like rapport, I can't talk, but you thought no one could say anything to you? Like, Morris giving the looks pretty, hands down. But Miss Ma'am, no ma'am. Like, you can't just be talking all willy-nilly to whoever you want to and not think that somebody ain't gonna say something back to you. Like, okay, he told you to stop talking. You was talking. You told him to stop talking. He told you to stop talking. What's the issue? So they send him home. He gets banished because everybody voted for him except for I want to say the housewives were the only ones that didn't vote. Well, it's only 3 of them left. So I think, yeah, because Candace was saying I'm sticking with my guns. Nothing that I'm sticking with my guns. I think it's Ron. Lisa voted Ron because she was just like, I hated that you made me change my mind and voted for Portia. Dorinda voted for Ron, and then Steven voted for Ron because he was just like, nothing that was said here has changed my mind on me thinking it's not Ron. And then everybody else voted for Michael because of the statement that he made, and they just want him gone because he's just too much. So he gets sent home. We find out he's a faithful because, of course, we already know who the traitors are. So yeah, because there's only 3 traitors because the secret one got sent home. So yeah, so we know everybody else is a faithful at this point. So they find out that he's a faithful, and so he leaves, and everybody is coddling Colton. And again, they're still shunning Ron, and it's just like, this is the second person that Colton has come here and led the charge to send somebody home, and they were a faithful. So why aren't y'all shunning him? So they all go their separate ways. And Kristen, because she had told she had told Candace, by the way, I loved her pink little dress with the little bow in the back. Girl, mama's was eating down, looking so pretty. So she had told Candace earlier in the episode that she thinks it's Colton, and then now after the round table, she's just like, yeah, my money is on Colton because he's been leading the charge, X, Y, and Z. So then we go to Colton, and he's talking to Dorinda and Rob and somebody else. I think Jam and somebody else. And he's like, I think it's Lisa because she hasn't been saying anything. Lisa would have been cutting up. Oh, and Maura was there because Maura was just like, I wasn't even thinking about her, but you know what? She hasn't even said who she thinks a traitor is. And Dorinda was just like, yeah, this isn't the Lisa. Like she's normally talkative and all this other stuff. And Colton is just like, watch her at breakfast tomorrow. She's like, she's like, oh, she's over the top when we find out who be sent home. So just watch her at breakfast. And Rob is looking like, oh shit, like, oh damn, they on to you, Lisa. So they all, it's time for bed or whatever. So they go up to the traders go up to the turret, and they're talking about like Candace was just like, our team didn't take a shield, but we don't know if anybody else took one. And then she's like, Colton wanted to take a shield, so I don't know if he went back and got one, but we don't know. So then Rob tells them that, hey Lisa, Colton is onto you, so be mindful. And then the episode ends without us finding out if they're going to do a murder or not, or if anyone picked the shield, and if they're going to do a murder or not. So yeah, that was the episode. A new episode is coming on tonight, so I'll bring that to y'all this weekend. I want to know, does this show get a reunion? Because I would love to see love to see them do a reunion for this show, because yeah, I need Tiffany to get in Colton's behind. Like I really do, because sir. And also, I was watching Rodney the Voices video, and I was also wondering, because it was just like they eat breakfast in the outfit, and then they do the challenge, and then they go to the round table, and then they're in the outfits that they wore for breakfast. So I was wondering, like, do they really just go back into the same outfits? But I think he said that they don't even sleep at the castle. So I think the clothes that they bring there in the morning when they do the breakfast is the only clothes that they have. So yes, they do have to get back in that clothes now, especially with this episode with this challenge that they did when they were in the water and all of that other stuff. Like, do they get to take showers? Like, because I was just wondering, like, why are they in the same outfits after the fact? Because I can understand if they do a banishment after breakfast, why they would be in the outfits, but like after the challenge or whatever, like, yeah, I'd be wondering. But but that was the episode. I need Colton to go next. Like, I don't need to see him on my screen no more, because he really played the victim card, and it was just like, you need to be shunned, because that's two people that you have brought up as being a traitor, and they weren't. And Ron's only done that with one person. So yeah, I need that to happen. But yes, that was the episode. Make sure you guys get down in the comments, tell me what you think. Give me your thoughts. Let me know. Also, make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and turning on your post notifications so you'll know whenever I post. And I will see you guys in the next one.